saying that these weapons and these drugs are destroyed when they get them, but don't nobody watch it happen. And so me and 3 other people went in there and we said we want to see who in the heck is destroying these weapons. Because as far as I'm concerned, your dirty dogs is putting them back out on the street. Back out on the street. Them same drugs, them same guns, back out on the streets. Like dogs. And if you ain't dead, you're in jail, and you got what? The prison industrial complex. That's right. When you go to jail, they got people making your clothes and your shoes. They ain't no Santa Claus might not be real, but there's elves. There are slaves fixing our clothes. And if you're in jail, you're dead, and then yes, they're taking your organs. I have been over West all the time. I haven't seen a gun store. I haven't seen any weed place. Nothing. Where are these things coming from? Who is killing our people? They are killing us. I am 20 years old. I am young. And I am far from tired. And I am fed up with this. And I ain't going nowhere until Killer Cop is in cell blocks. And I don't have to be a victim to feel the pain. I don't have to be a victim. You don't have to be a victim. But I know. And then they got the nerve to justify that girl getting slammed on the ground in her desk in class. Talking about she should have listened. Well, if that's the punishment for not listening, what happens to you when you run a red light? You get tased? Unacceptable.
That's right. Unacceptable. That's right.
So I'ma be here. You don't have to worry about nobody not being here, even if it's just us. And we huddle up together like a bunch of black people, and we make some fire. We're gonna be out here. Cause enough is enough of this. And I ain't gonna take it no more.
Yeah.
Mic check, mic check. This is West Wednesday. We are broadcasting live on Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube. This is West Wednesday number 438. 438 weeks of fighting for justice and accountability for the murder of Tyrone West.
Ben, mute.
Mic check, mic check. This is West Wednesday number 438. Who you just heard was Brother Sifu, who came to a West Wednesday 6 years ago to deliver that message. And we have him here again tonight. It has been 438 weeks of fighting for justice and accountability for Tyrone West, who was murdered by the Baltimore police. We gather every single week to fight for justice and accountability for his murder and for all victims of police violence. Mic check, mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Yeah, so thank you guys for tuning in tonight, because we know you could have been any place, but the fact that you're here tuning in, we're so excited to have you guys. And like you just saw the video, like my brother Ben said, that was our brother going off at a West Wednesday. He's been by my side for many years, fighting this dirty fight that my family or none of the families have asked to fight. And as you saw on special guest last week, we had Breonna Taylor's aunt. We also had Jacob Blake's dad, as well as George Floyd's close friend. So, like, it's real. Like, trauma is real, and no family should not have to go through that. Like, as you heard Bianca say with the fight for Breonna Taylor, we still don't have accountability. You know, thank goodness we see accountability in the George Floyd. But at the end of the day, like, it's just really sad because, you know, murder is murder. Nobody deserves murder. And I'm just really proud of my brother, because not only do he, you know, fight, he hasn't been traumatized by, like, police brutality, but he has been there. Like, I remember us shutting down town hall meetings. I remember when I had the meeting with the mayor at the time. He sat down with me, with Captain Crew, at the end of the table, so it's real and it's just sad. And all of these years of fighting, we're still stuck in the same spot. You see different things, but right now we still do not have accountability after fighting all these weeks nonstop for accountability for my big brother Tyrone West. We still don't have it. And it's just sad and it's disgusting, and I wouldn't wish anyone family members to go through the pain that we have been going through. In case you don't know who Tyrone West is, and in case you don't know what's happening, this may be your first time tuning in. And real quick before I bring on our brother, I would like to let you know my brother Tyrone West was brutally executed right here in Baltimore City on July the 18th, 2013, and literally nonstop every week. I don't care if it's raining, if it's snowing. We were boots on the ground outside. And because of the pandemic, we were able to go online, but we still will be back in the streets. So we kind of flip-flop, but tune in because I have a special spot that will be, ask you guys to join us because right now, I refuse to, and if I have to go into a whole entire new year without hearing from our state's attorney, that is disgusting. It's time to call people out. It's been time. We always call folks out. And the fact is, right now, if you don't know who my brother was, he was executed, beat to death, pepper sprayed, tased, tortured in broad daylight, literally. And the saddest part, my brother's execution was caught on video footage. We saw what the video footage did in the George Floyd case, as well as many cases that broke and made national news. Unfortunately, those videotapes have never ever surfaced yet, and it's just sad. But he was beat to death by 17 Baltimore City police officers. He wasn't doing anything wrong. He wasn't breaking the law. He was an unarmed man. And my thing is, even if he was armed, they're not judged during execution. That does not give them the right to take our brothers' lives, our sisters' lives. It's just really sad and disgusting. And we done been through different mayors, different state commissioners. I mean, it's sad, and it's still the same game. Nobody's helping. And even a different prosecutor. At the time, it was Greg Bernstein, and now it's Marilyn Mosby. And all I'm asking her, and I'm going to leave it right here. I wrote her a letter, and I'm waiting for a response. But I'm not going to wait. I refuse to wait like I've been waiting on a response for years. I sat down and met with her 3 years ago down here. And she told me she was going to go over the new evidence, and she promised me once she got the new evidence that, once she went over it, she was going to let me know where those killer cops going to be prosecuted. And I haven't heard anything back. And my thing is, if you're not going to do your job, just say, hey, I'm not going to prosecute these killer cops. We don't have to go put it in black and white. Put it in black and white. I mailed you a notation. You can mail me one quickly back, faster than her, because I'm about to turn up. I really am. So, no further ado. I call him my Warrior King brother. He is phenomenal. Like, he's been writing books. He's like, it's nothing that he really can't do. And, it's an honor to fight along with him. And I've been, even though he's young, and I'm just, like, I can't tell his story. I'm going to let him do it. This is our brother, Seafood. Like, he is amazing. Like, oh my God. Like, and not only does he fight for the West Coalition, he fights Pete Davis Jr. He is involved in so many things and he's on the right side of the counter. So no further ado, let's welcome our Warrior King brother, Mic Check.
Mic check.
Thank you so much. First off, solidarity to you, Tawanda. I will always have love for you. 8 long years of fighting for justice for Tyrone West, for all victims of police terror. And you mentioned it, we did a meeting with Catherine Pugh. We've also, I don't know if you remember, we met with Jackie Young. We met with Commissioner Harrison. We have met with so many people throughout the years. And I think the key word that comes to mind is longevity. Longevity. What does it look like in the midst of rejection, heartbreak, dismissal, refusal. What does it look like to persist and to continue? And I think that your fight, when it comes to Tyrone West, is a prime example in this city, and not only just this city, but this country, and what it looks like to continue to persist. And there's this weird idea that the longer that you go, or that the older something becomes, the more obsolete it becomes, or the less relevant it becomes, right? We're so attached to the new and to the fresh. But what your fight and what your activism is showing people in this city and in this country again is that it's not about the age, it's about how you continue to push. If age is to be any factor, it's going to be how long we've been fighting, the age of the fight that has been within us. And Tawana, there's been so many people that have stood with us before that, let's be honest, aren't here now. For many reasons, you know, we don't have to get into that, but I think the most important part is that I want you to know and remember that the people that are going to be here are going to continue to be here, because we have no other choice. When you have no other choice but to fight, that's what you do, you fight. And just like I said in the video, I don't have to be immediately, you know, affected by it. Of course, just by me being black in America, I do have some proximity to it. But you know, just because I'm not immediately firsthand affected by it doesn't mean that I can't take action. It doesn't mean that anybody can't take action. And the fact that it has been 8 years and that you are still standing the test of time is powerful. And I just didn't want to go too far into what I had to say without first saying that these 8 years have not been in vain, and that we will be in the streets no matter what. Anywhere these politicians, these crooked, nasty politicians, filthy. I mean, it's like it goes on. You know, COVID couldn't even make it more nasty. Just nasty politicians. Even in spite of that, we will continue to be in the streets, and things might look different. We might have to wear a mask now. We might have to, you know, to wear some protective armor. We might have to dress different because it's cold. But even in the cold, we was out there. Even in the heat, we were out here. Snowfall, sleet, rain. It didn't matter. We were always out in the street, and they couldn't stand it because they thought, well, when is it going to be today? That's how they think. When is it going to be today? She's shouting now. They complaining now. They fighting for justice now. It'll just fizzle out. But then you got those select few that continue to push. You got those select few that aren't swayed by the cameras. They aren't swayed by the next come up. They just in it for the fight. And right now I think about Mumia Abu Jamal, who I constantly reference because he's been such an influence to me, not only as a aspiring organizer, but just as a decent human being that wants to see change happen in this world. And I have him on my wall back there as well because he's been such an influence to me. 40 years as of December the 9th. 40 years of being in prison for a crime that he did not commit. Just disgusting. The way that the police and politicians hunted after him, knowing that he was a journalist, knowing that he was very eloquent and he knew how to speak on causes, and he knew how to fight for justice, and he was very intelligent. And they can't stand intelligent people, and that's why I moved the way that I moved, is because they love to pinpoint people that they think don't know what's going on with them. And so I think that it's important to keep that in mind when you're intelligent, when you're keen, and when you're aware, and when you know what's going on, and you might not read all the newspapers, you might not be in on everything, but when you're keen and aware, and you know that your mother didn't raise a fool, and that you can't be easily swayed or pushed, they can't stand it. And that's where the perseverance comes from. The perseverance comes from you knowing that they know that they're just waiting for you to sit your ass down and move on to something else. And we can't allow that. We can't accept that because it's too much at stake. It's too much at stake to give up now. This is probably one of the most critical moments in the history of this country. And I remember recently I was reading an interview with Angela Davis, and Angela Davis said they asked Angela. They said, Angela Davis, are things worse then when you were fighting, or is it worse now? And I kid you not, I can find it for you. She said things are worse now. If Angela Davis, come on now, know your history. If Angela Davis can say that things are worse now than what she endured then in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, we got a problem, people. We got a problem. An American, a well-renowned political freedom fighter is telling us that things are worse now. And when I think about the 60s and 70s, all I think of is tumultuous activity. All I think of is radical political activity. But she can look at that and be alive in those moments and say that this is the time to fight. This is the time to push. This is the time to organize. This is the time to organize your community, to talk to your coworkers, to talk to your neighbors, to talk to your classmates about what we need to do, how we need to get our house in order. Because you can't clean a dirty floor with a filthy mop, so the politicians won't do it because they're filthy. All they're going to be doing is spreading the mess. I'm not putting my faith in them. I'm not putting my faith in them because I've been here for 7 years and I've seen it. It won't change until we change it. And there's something that Mumia said, and I was reading this a little earlier today to wonder if I may. Mumia said, in cities boasting black mayors and black police chiefs, police violence against citizens continue, and the prison industrial complex traps people in chains. One is forced to conclude that Black America suffers maladies similar to those faced by continental African nations, a segregated neo-colonial system in which a political class gives the appearance of freedom and independence while perpetuating racial oppression and financial exploitation. Here's the part right here. Sadly, electing more black politicians does not equal more black political power. For in this surfeit of black representation, voices of discontent are muted while rage bubbles in black hearts and minds. And rather than black politicians speaking for those who voted for them, they too are silenced, more loyal to party than people, more anxious not to rock the boat, even when water rushes onto the boat. And that's powerful to me.
Yeah.
That's powerful to me. When I look at this city, and I love it when Mia said that they are more devoted to a party than they are to the people. That's how you know that the Democratic Party ain't for us. Because even in your allegiance to the party, the people are still being neglected. You got Joe Biden talking about people owing student loans February the 1st. So again, I love that Mumia said that, and I hate that he's still in prison, and we do need to continue to fight for not only Mumia Abu-Jamal, but all political prisoners. You should not be, it's disgusting to be arrested for your political ideological beliefs. The fact that you are saying that black people deserve better, you done been in jail 40 years. He done got hepatitis C, he's caught COVID, completely blind in one eye, just ridiculous. But what Mumia is doing in prison with limited access to the internet and books, is he is giving us proof that no matter where you are, you can devote time to getting hip to the issues that affect us in this nasty country. And I'm gonna keep saying that, it's nasty. And if he can do it in there, we can do it in here. Mic check.
Mic
Mic
check.
check.
And brother, I definitely, when we get off of here, and definitely by tomorrow, because when I get off of here tonight, I have to cook and things like that for work. But nevertheless, tomorrow I'm going to connect you before this weekend with my sister, Dr. Chi. I've went ahead before you met her, but she's a big advocate and knows Mumia personally. Like her and Sister Africa have been fighting, advocating. Her shows are dedicated, and I would love to connect you guys and for you to be like one of her special guests. But her, like her show, like she opens her show with speeches from him and closes out like it's real. So definitely want to connect y'all. Yeah. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
So I want to check in with my brother Marcellus. Do you have any comments or questions at the time?
Yes. 1 second. So, on you starting with YouTube, Smiley says mic check. AC Brit says mic check. Smiley says go all the way off, Sifu. It's about how we continue to fight. Yes, indeed, Sifu. In this city, people are more devoted to a party than to people, and that's a fact. And on Facebook, Hillary says, mic check. Bill says, very glad to be here at West Wednesday and anticipating revolutionary fervor and solid analysis from our guest, Sifu. Hillary says, yes, Sifu. Bill says, that's right. Bad weather never stops West Wednesday. Summer, fall, winter, or spring. Yes, nasty, crooked politicians are loyal to systemic racism. Angela says, I'm in it to win it. We ain't going away. Mic check.
Mic check. All right. So yeah. So, but I want to ask you a few questions myself. Just like looking at everything from your perspective. So literally, my family supporters, all of us been on for 8 years. I met you. We've been on each other for 7 years. And I just want to ask you, like, literally, first of all, could you tell us what you are doing and what you got out new that's happening? And then after you talk about that, I want you to talk about things that you have seen and how we have, even though it's not like big accomplishments, but things where you see that we have grew a little bit and things that we still really need. We know what that is, but just kind of wanted you to talk about that. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check. So Mark Lamont Hill, who I enjoy listening to, he has a very solid analysis on movements and movement spaces and just issues that pertain to us in general. But he wrote a book called Pandemic and Policing, Pandemic Protest and Policing. And just thinking about the ways that we have had to shift our organizing due to the coronavirus and the ways that we have had to become innovative and creative in order to sustain the fire. Because I think it goes without saying that, yes, this pandemic has quelled a lot of momentum in people. Now we are in survival mode. Now we're just trying to make sure that our needs are met, whether it be trying to find financial stability within ourselves, provide for our families, try not to get sick. There's so many precautions and so many things and hurdles that are getting in the place of in-person physical communication, to where we have had to seek alternatives as a way to not only continue to provide for ourselves, but also be under the realization that just because there's a coronavirus doesn't mean that there aren't still things happening, and whether it be policing, whether it be mass incarceration, people are still being executed. Innocent people are still being executed despite the coronavirus. You still have police terror running rampant. George Floyd was a prime example of that. Breonna Taylor was a prime example of that. Still being executed. And so this idea that, the pandemic is slowing things down, but the state still seems to be going about their merry way. So what we have to do is find ways to go about our merry way while still maintaining safety and while still maintaining respect and consideration and decency for those around us. And so it's allowed even me personally to become creative. How can I show up in a way that is both helpful to my community and medically safe? And Mark Lamont Hill offered many suggestions. One of the suggestions he offered was social media, which is what we're doing now. Learning how to navigate social media in a way that is helpful and conducive to justice and accountability. Knowing how to not exclude people, right? Because when you have people not doing things in person and moving then online, what that means is that people who don't have access to technology and don't have access to social media are now left out of the loop. And so we've really had to be creative, Tawanda, in just so many ways, and just how to maintain the fight, how to keep the fire going in ways that might not be favorable to us. Quite frankly, I love the in-person. I feel like I can best engage in community in person. but you have to do what you have to do, and I think that doing what you have to do means means being flexible, and it means understanding that doing what you have to do now only means being able to do what we may need to do or may want to do in the future. And so again, just doing that while also being sensitive to the fact that people don't have technology, and so really embodying this idea of radical connection that goes outside of technology while still maintaining safety and security for our families.
Excellent. I love it. Yes. Yes. So, I mean, definitely broke it down, went in as I expected you to. But real quick, I just wanna cause you got a chance to meet my uncle Clifton Anderson. He would always come out to West Lansing and things like that. And he passed away. And it's so sad because today is unfortunately, I hate even saying it, like heavenly birthday, because he should be here, but you know, he's not here. But he would have been 68 years old, and it's just like been a rough day for me. I've been trying not to cry all day, but just thinking about him. That's why I post one of his pictures. Like when I post you up, my uncle had on the black tie, black jumpsuit, tie West shirt, on. And the saddest thing that really broke my heart was when he came out to the West Wednesday, and he said that the only thing that he wanted to see was accountability for his nephew. He said, I hope I live long enough to see accountability for my nephew, Tyrone West. And it's just sad that even when he became sick, because stress is real, that's what I want to talk about. Like, literally, I want you to go into it. If you can help me out, my brother. I want us to talk about self-care because it's very important. Because guess what? The stress will overtake your body. And literally, looking at Anthony Anderson's mom, who was healthy, but yet she saw her son being murdered right in front of her face on her grandbaby's birthday. Like, how traumatizing is that? And we still ain't get accountability for Anthony Anderson. And then literally later, 2 weeks later, that family had to go through a whole entire another horrible tragedy with losing a child. Literally, like, disgusting, horrible, horrific. But looking at Anthony Anderson's mom, who was healthy, who wind up getting cancer and dying and not seeing any accountability for her son is disgusting. And literally me watching my uncle, who literally, when my brother, we got that call nobody wanted, and my uncle, took the forefront and said, yeah, what's going on? We want accountability for our loved one, Tyron West. And I remember in the video, he had shared when we were outside of Ray Bernstein's office at the time, and he pretty much said how justice was spelled, and he spelled out my brother's name. That's what he would call justice, literally seeing that for his nephew. And it's just horrible to know that literally my uncle pretty much literally started stressing and wound up getting a stomach ulcer. Listen to me, a stomach ulcer. Like, he didn't have cancer. It wasn't, or he was eating unhealthy, why get cancer, whatever. And I'm not gonna say that if you eat unhealthy, because we're still learning about cancer, because cancer can hit anybody. It can hit babies. You can eat all the healthy stuff in the world, and cancer can overtake the body, right? I'm still trying to learn about it, but I just know that it's an ugly, nasty thing, and we all wish cancer away, because once it attacks your body, it literally can take over, right? But with my uncle literally just having a stomach, like a little stomach ulcer, and literally because Hopkins messed him up, literally was stressing about wanting accountability for his nephew, went in the hospital for a stomach ulcer. They removed it, but what they did was left some tumor tissue up that they messed him up with, which turned cancer. Let's be crystal clear. At that time, and he went through 3 major operations on behalf of Hopkins, failing him, and it ultimately took my uncle's life. The cancer just started spreading. He went through doing good, and like, oh my God, then literally it was just horrible. But just saying that and knowing that we gotta take care of ourselves, what would you say or what would you offer to help us kind of take care of ourselves? Mic check.
My check.
Mike check.
My
First of all,
check.
first of all, Tawanda, my sincere condolences goes out to your family. I actually just recently, speaking of cancer, my grandfather's birthday just passed earlier this month, and he had cancer. And I did actually attend Anthony Anderson's mother's funeral. Now that you bring that up, I believe Elder C.D. Witherspoon preached the eulogy, and that was a very, very difficult, sad time. I mean, I had just moved here, but again, the pain was just so real. Just seeing what that family has been through.
Right.
I think for me, self care looks like doing the things that make me happy. Doing the things that make me happy. I know what makes me upset. I know that injustice makes me upset. I know that racism makes me upset. I know that sexism makes me upset. I know that homophobia and transphobia makes me upset. And so what I do is, knowing those things, I divert my energy towards the things that I know bring me joy. Community brings me joy. Watching TV brings me joy. It's things that money can't buy. You know, a lot of people now talk about self-care, and their self-care looks like going to the store and buying all these things. But to me, self-care is nothing like just spending time watching the sunset, just basking in the beauty of nature, and understanding that while there is ugly in this world, there is beauty in this world as well. And that sometimes we get so sucked into the nastiness of the world that we forget to stop and just reflect and just remember that we are here for a purpose, and we are here for a reason, and that there is beauty. Even just waking up in the morning and just seeing the sun come through my bay windows in the morning, it's just it's a privilege, and it's beautiful. Being able to eat foods that make me happy. Fruit makes me happy. Vegetables make me happy. Dancing makes me happy. Sometimes I pick a random song and I'll just dance, and I'll burn some incense, and I'll burn my sage, and I'll dance, and just it's just little ways like that where you don't have to spend an arm and a leg. Maybe you're seeing a movie. I love seeing movies. I think I saw so many movies this year because, you know, for me this year seemed tougher than last year. Crazy how that works, but you know, I just felt like I had a better handle on things last year. Maybe it was because of all the funding that was coming on, and it seems like now COVID isn't going anywhere, but the funding is, right? Everyone's now pushing back. You know, people aren't getting money no more. People aren't getting grants, and you know, student loans are ramping back up. It's like everything's over, but it's not. And I think that can be depressing. That can be sad as well, because you're faced with two realities. You're seeing here people are still getting sick, but now, you know, the United States government wants us to continue on as we were, as if nothing had happened, and that can take a toll on your mental health as well, and just the anxiety and the depression of just what ifs, just what ifs, you know, just being black, just what ifs. And I know, you know, just on a personal note, you know, I had a very horrible bout with anxiety in a way that I haven't before ever. And it was hard for me to navigate that. And I think a lot of the anxiety was existential. I kind of hit this point where I just kind of forgot who I was and where I was, and I just kind of had a moment where I had to really step back and really realize that I am here for a purpose, and that no matter what the United States government says that they want to deem me as, I have to identify myself, and I have to find comfort in myself, and knowing that everything will be okay, and knowing that I do put my trust in a higher power. Statistics says that when you have something that you believe in, that statistically you are more likely to be in a more uplifted mood, just by having a faith, just by being rooted in something. You know, in the midst of just being pushed and pulled, where we're pushed in a marriage, we're pushed in relationships, we're pushed in our 9-to-5s, and we have kids, and it's hard to find a moment where you can find something to really root yourself in and say, this is who I am at my core. And I think that this year just really taught me that in the midst of being an organizer, in the midst of being a writer, in the midst of working at a bookstore, and being, and you know, doing this and doing that, there has to be something that anchors me, that grounds me, and that when the wind blows, I need to have roots. I need to have something that keeps me here. Um,
Nice.
and that's what helps me, and that's free to wander. That's free, Warrior
Right.
Sis. You know, you can't buy that. That's something that comes from within, and it comes from knowing that one day the world will be a better place. And if I don't believe that, why am I even fighting?
Wow. Yes. I love it. Oh my goodness. Wow. So I have my camera off. I'm trying to turn it back on. Just having a little bit of technical issue from my end. But I wanted to bro, that was beautiful. Like, oh my God, like that was amazing. I feel like you just took a whole burden off my life because everything you sound, saying like the things that make you happy. And that's what I've been literally focusing in on, like the foods that I love eating because I love to eat. Don't get it twisted. So like just enjoying that, enjoying music, enjoying the things that you like to do and the self care part. Like I love it. So
That's right, Warrior Sis, because no one can decide that for you. No one can decide what
yeah.
self care looks like for you. You have to decide what that looks like for you, and I think it looks differently. And one shoe doesn't fit all when it comes to doing things that make us happy, and I don't think that it should, because we're all
Mhm.
complex human beings. We all have different needs, and we all have different things that bring us joy. As long as you know what it is, and as long as you can practice that, that's all that matters. Especially this time of year. I don't think I remember the sun going down at 4 p.m. like this. It's kind of it's. I gotta check myself. Like, oh wait, I know what happens to me in my thought processes when it's dark outside, and so just being proactive and knowing that the sun will shine again, that the sun will shine again, and that alone restores faith and hope in me.
Awesome. And yes, that is just amazing. Like, oh my God. I think your calling too should be like a counselor, like like you are amazing, like you inspire me on so many levels. I just wanted to say that to you. And also I see some of our queens in Q that literally have been, fighting for accountability for not just their loved ones, but just for all of our loved ones. Like I see my sister Angela in Q, and unfortunately my sister Angela literally has like just like this is like she hasn't been in this unfortunate fight that she or her family member never signed up and say, hey, you know what, I want to be in a club nobody wants to be in. I want somebody to come into my family's home, kill, execute my brother right in front of his family members, and then leave the poor babies behind traumatized. Like, so she's still dealing with that, like dealing with holidays, and I'm so proud of her because even though it's hard and rough, but just doing little things to kind of make it happen. Like I've been saying, my queen, bake cookies and make candy. And I can't wait to get my chocolate cake done on food. I'm sorry, I got off track. But y'all know anything related to food and eating, hey, hey. But nevertheless, just wanted to check in because sometimes you might don't want to be sick, but she's here. But I wanted to see if she want to add anything into the conversation. So I'm gonna do a mic check to see if our sister wants to say anything. Mic check.
Mic check.
My
Mic
check.
check.
Good evening, everyone. Yeah, I really don't have much to say. I'm just still fighting a good fight. Still trying to get my nephews and their mom out of that horrible house that they're still in, that my brother was murdered in on May 16th. um, it's just a struggle. Like my sister said, the holidays is a struggle. It's not only a struggle because of what happened to my brother Timothy on May 16th, but it's like almost my whole family. It's my mother, my father, my oldest sister, my two twin brothers. They're all gone. So the holidays are rough. And like Sifu said, doing things that you love. I like to listen to music. I like to sing, even though I can't sing. I still try. I can't dance because of my body, but I still try. Be broke down, but just trying to do the little things to keep me uplifted and try to get through this holiday season. And I hope everyone else can do the same. Do something that's make them happy and joyous, and to be able to get through this holiday season. Marilyn Mosby, like my sister said, we're waiting on your response. We need that response by by December 31st, not January, December. We want accountability for Timothy Fleming, Tyrone West, and all the victims of police brutality in Baltimore City. That's all I have to say. I'm just a little emotional. I've been on an emotional roller coaster like all day, so I'm just a little emotional right now. So, mic check.
My
Mic
check.
check.
And Queen, I just want to let you know we love you and we support you. And I wanted to make a special announcement because I was going to actually go, if I didn't hear anything, I'm still waiting for a response. I said, Kate, to let you guys know, to keep you guys on what's going on. I wrote her, Marilyn Mosley, I wrote her a personal letter, pretty much letting her know that I need answers. You know, she promised to sit down and get back to me, and not just me, but to meet with the West family and sit down to tell us what she was going to do. This was 3 years ago. We're not going to do that. And we know that murder has no sanctification in murder. Like, literally, you can go and catch a killer 40, 50 years later. Right? So she knows who the killers are. She knows what happened. She has evidence. Like, literally, I unearthed my brother to get accountability. And I remember how horrible it was, especially near the holidays, because I love, every day was like a holiday, I love, get twisted, but literally this time knowing that my brother's biggest holiday that he loved was Christmas. Like, that was one of his favorite, since me and him was growing up, literally one of his favorite holidays. And I remember being like my sister Angela, waiting on the autopsy report. She still doesn't have hers. So I said all of that to say I was going to go and do West Wednesday outside of her office next week, right? But I'm going to schedule it because I know it's like Christmas break come up, and then I know following week we're going to get ready to bring the New Year in. But what more appropriate way to do it is I want you guys to write it on your schedule, not this week, but next West Wednesday, right? I want you guys, because I want to have a message for her that you're not going to drag us into the new year without any answers. And if you do, please know that everything you're doing, we are noting it down, we're taking notes, and we're planning actions. And when I say actions, it's no threats. I'm talking about actions because we know that election time is on the way. We know that it's said that money is more important than people's lives, and that's disgusting. And some people in this conference, like in this capitalist system, more money is valued more than a person's life, and that's disgusting. And it's not. You cannot put a price on someone's life. It's sad. It's cruel. And again, just out of respect, because I know that if my sister can make it, then I'm gonna wait. So instead of us going next week, I want us literally Lottie Dottie and everybody. If you can't please, man, sir, madam, meet us in front of the safe times up. We'll be making an announcement. So I'll be sharing it, but
That's
thank
the
you, my
20
queen. The 29th, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, so mark your calendars for the 29th, next week, 6:30 to 29th, at the state's attorney's office. We'll be there to spread, so just want you guys to let you guys put that, so, also before we check in, for any comments and things of that nature, I wanted to check in because I also see our queen sister Nicole. Do you want to share anything, Nicole? Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
It get dark at 4:30.
Right. Hi, everybody. Nicole Pettiford here. I mean, like everybody was saying or whatever, for those who don't know me, which pretty much everybody on here already know who I am. I'm the daughter-in-law of Anthony Anderson and the mother of Ajay Harad. Anthony Anderson was brutally murdered by the Baltimore City Police Department, which my sister Queen was talking about earlier, where he was murdered in front of his mother and his granddaughter, it was her birthday. And then 2 weeks later, they set my daughter up and they shot my 16-year-old daughter in the head and killed her. So trying to be there for my husband when his father got murdered by the police, then had to turn right around 2 weeks later, and he had to allow me to lean on him for comfort for them killing my daughter. And we still haven't gotten kind of accountability for it or anything. And it's been 9 years now. And we know who killed my father-in-law, but to this day, we still don't have no idea who took my daughter's life. And but we do know that it was because they took her down for questioning, and they didn't have me or her father or an attorney present when they questioned my daughter. And as a minor, you're supposed to have an adult present, and they didn't. So what do you do with a snitch and they figure she tell them something or she knew what was going on? So they had to get rid of her. Because when they see her come out the house all wrapped up in a blanket and all of that stuff, and they see her get in the back of a police car, they knew exactly what she was going. So that was the end result of my child losing her life. So I do fault the Baltimore City Police Department before that, because had you not put her in that situation, maybe she still would have been alive.
Exactly.
And I think that that's really sick. And using my sister words, that's disgusting. And the thing about it, that you don't care because she's a little poor black girl, you know, so it's like her life doesn't really matter anyway because she was in a poor city. And, you know, they look at it like our lives are expendable anyway. They really don't care what really happens to us. Nobody tries to take the blame for anything that goes on. They always try to make it, oh, it's this person's fault, or you have to go through this person, or you have to go through that person to try to get some kind of justice for your loved one. When all in actuality, or it take a push of a button. With all this technology and stuff out here today, there's no reason for you to say, oh, we can't find this person, or we can't do that. When you have satellites that are in the sky that can read the time on your watch, if you have a watch on your arm, and you mean to tell me with all this technology you cannot tell me who killed my daughter? And because that you don't care, because it wasn't your child. Mike Jack?
Mike check.
So, real quick, I want to check in with the panel to see if you guys wanted to ask or share anything with our brother Sequel before I check back in with Marcellus to see if he has any, new comments or questions online. Mic check.
Mike check.
Mike Jack? You're muted.
Thank you, Nicole. I want to follow up on an important point that Seifu made earlier. He was talking about in recent history, we've had large cities where we've had a black mayor and a black chief of police, but the police killings and the police terror continues just the same. And so I want to point out that the first black mayor of Detroit, and he may have been the first black mayor of any big city in the United States, it was in the 1970s. His name was Coleman Young. And when he came into power, there was a lot of high expectation. People thought, okay, police brutality is going to go way down. The layoffs of city workers are going to stop. Life's going to get much better, especially for African American people in Detroit. But the only thing that changed, and keep in mind, after Martin Luther King was killed in the late 60s, there were big rebellions around the country. And the one in Detroit was so powerful that the 101st Airborne of the U.S. military was on its way to Vietnam. They were sent instead to Detroit. And they killed quite a few people putting down that rebellion, both black and white, because they were together in certain aspects of that rebellion. So Coleman Young came into power shortly after that in Detroit as the mayor. And interestingly, as Seifu wisely pointed out earlier, the number of incidents of police brutality did not go down. The number of layoffs of city workers did not go down and get any better. But the one thing that changed was there were no more rebellions for a while, because having a black mayor fooled a lot of people about how life was going to get better. And I just want to talk about one more example of that outlook. Minister Farrakhan wrote a book called Torchlight for America. And one of the points he made in Torchlight for America is that people in the Nation of Islam really are not supposed to have more than one meal a day, and not do drugs, not do alcohol, and therefore can live very inexpensively. So he argued in that book that the Nation of Islam should start big businesses based in the inner cities, and because they could use labor that they don't have to pay very much, they can compete with major international corporations and be successful. And that was a strategic vision he advocated in that book. But of course, if that were to come to fruition, we would have a few black folks, very wealthy at the top of those major companies, and the vast majority of black working class people still living in very difficult circumstances with very low incomes. And so that strategy of black capitalism, excuse me, in my view, is a real loser, because you can't defeat capitalism with capitalism. It's like, Seifu, like you say, you can't clean a dirty floor with a dirty mop. And so, in my opinion, there's no solution within the capitalist system, and I think we need a new type of life where we care about each other, we don't have private business anymore, and we share wealth. Sorry for my voice, everybody. So I just wanted to bring those ideas out in alignment with the point you made earlier, Seifu. Mic check.
A mic check. And
Mic
I want to give a little feedback real quick, because I do kind of respect what the Minister Farrakhan was saying, because like he has always been for our people, and I get what you're saying about capital, but I'd rather spend my dollar black. I'm gonna be honest. You know, that's why I support a lot of black businesses, you know, because at the end of the day, like my brother Boom said, we all we got, we all we need. But I wish there would be a world where there was no capitalism, period, no dollars, just everybody would be created equally, which we know that's not happening. But, you know, I just feel like with them, nobody wants to talk about the reparations of what they owe our people, you know, for all the torment, hell, and all that. But that's a whole nother conversation. But I just wanted to say that. And also, I wanted to check in with our brother Brian just to see if he had any comments or anything, because we're going to do West Winds a little bit differently tonight. Because normally what we do is we'll read the sad list and then we'll be talking in between it. But I want to, you know, make all our announcements and focus on that, questions, comments, and then just focus on just showing respect and homage for our, you know, loved ones that are no longer here, because that's really sad, and we don't need to be talking about be everywhere, but just on focusing in on that time for the victims. So yeah, I wanted to check in and see if Brother Brian wanted to add to the conversation. Mic check.
Mic check.
Yeah, I did want to mention one thing that I saw today. There was an opinion piece in the Sun, of all places, but it was really, I thought, well written, and it really talked about the way that the media handles deaths, shootings, homicides differently depending on the race of the people involved, and how, like, if a white person dies, you see their picture, you hear their name, you know that they have 2 kids, that they were a baseball coach, everyone loved them, blah, blah, blah. But then when it's time to talk about the deaths in downtown Baltimore, all you see is yellow tape and flashing blue lights, and they often don't even give the name. They just say 8 people were killed this weekend in Baltimore, and it's just an accepted and an expected thing, and there's no humanity, and that this is just part of the whole way that our society tries to dehumanize black people. And so this person was just calling for a change to that, but I just think that it was a really interesting article to read about how this sort of thought perpetuates itself, not only in the actual killings, but then in the way that we talk about the killings and make them small and put them far away from us. So I just wanted to bring that out.
I saw that article. I'm glad that they printed it. I really hope that the Baltimore Sun takes it to heart, because they do that shit.
Amen.
Amen. Hallelujah. And the church say amen. And I definitely agree, because I'm just looking at, just like, it's just sad, like, even like when the suspects are Caucasian, you don't even hear about it. We just have to assume. But when it's a black person or brown person, they have their face plastered all over the news. They pick the worst picture to show you a mugshot, but then they always humanize when it's a white suspect. Whether they're a suspect or a victim, they always humanize it. And that really that cooks my skin. And it's been going on almost a freaking year since my cousin Tavon Anderson was murdered. I want to see his killer. I wanted the world to see his killer. You want to know what's going on. You want to know what's going on. Her silence. I need you to know her silence. And it's been a year. My cousin was murdered on January the 19th, literally, of this year. And now we get ready to face 2022 coming up soon. As we go through the Christmas holiday, and then after that, it's New Year's. And then we're back in a whole nother year. And there's still no accountability for my cousin Tavon Anderson, who was murdered. Another person in the video that we're going to close out with, my cousin Tavon is there. My cousin Neil made the video. His name is Prime. But he made the video. But when we were all at City Hall, testifying towards what happened to my brother, Tavon was there. And he was talking. You'll see him on this video. It breaks my heart, literally, to see my family members on the video and not here with us. And this is a rough time, like my sister Angela said to me, because this is the first year that my grandmother's no longer here. And that was the eldest woman in our whole entire family. She is no longer here. We lost her this year, and she didn't get to see any accountability. So it is real. But again, switch back to the conversation. Sorry for flip-flopping, but it is truly a big difference how they treat white families that's going through stuff and black families.
Exactly.
My sister Angela, prime example. Because hey, let's be clear, all of us prime example. Because I'm going to say that had Timothy Flemings would have been a Caucasian brother, Caucasian man, them kids wouldn't be in the house. We'd have had the mayor show up at the door, taking them out. Or we're going to get the news of sorry tragedy of what happened. The events that happened today were so sad. But our prime focus is on these children who are going to need. We would have heard all kind of stuff like that. It would have started. We wouldn't have to raise up money ourselves. We wouldn't have to try to make moves. They don't give a damn about us. If it was Tyrone West was a Caucasian fella, we'd have been had accountability. 17 people beat him, like literally beat him. This happened before Freddie Gray. Like, let's be clear, this happened after Anthony Anderson was Caucasian. If my sister Nicole's daughter Aisha was Caucasian, we would have had accountability. So let's be clear. And all they want to show us is black suspects every day, all day. I want to see some white suspects. That's what I want to see. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
You are right.
Mic check.
Mic check.
It sounded like I heard somebody trying to say something. I'm sorry. Mic check.
I just said you're right.
Mic check.
No, it sounded like I heard somebody say hi everyone, like they was ready to say something.
That was my niece in the background.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I knew I heard something. Okay. Well, right now, I want to check in with our brother Seifu before we go with Marcelo to see if any, questions or comments in my mind. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check, y'all. Yeah, I just wanted to, again, Tawanda, thank you so much for having me on here. I will always have your back. I will always be in your corner. You will always have my support. Anywhere you need me, you can look to see me there, because that's what it takes. There's no other reason for it. That's just what it takes. It takes showing up. It takes bodies, and you can always look to see me. And we've got a long history, 7 years, and I don't take that for granted. I wouldn't want to stand alongside anybody else. So again, I don't thank you for what happened to you, because I wouldn't wish that on anybody, but I thank you for the way that you responded to it and the way that you have taken what this nasty, nasty system has given you, and you have turned it into a movement that is literally changing the lives of people. I did want to just leave on one last story, just on the subject of just pinpointing, just just pinpointing on people's ignorance, and how detrimental it is to be familiar and aware and in the know of what is going on. So if you didn't know, a few weeks ago, Larry Hogan came to the city, and he went to the Waverly neighborhood because he said that he wanted to build up the Waverly community. He wanted to improve the Waverly community, and so he came and he visited a couple of small businesses. He visited Urban Reed's bookstore. He visited Pete's Grill. He visited Peabody's, the beer brewery, and he visited a few other places. And he went in, and he took pictures, and he shook hands, and he told them, like, yeah, we're going to develop this community. We're going to help this business. I'm all for small businesses, so on and so forth. And Urban Reed's was one of the businesses as well. And a few days later, what they realized was that he had took all of those photos and all of those videos, and he basically used them as a way to say, these are the businesses that support my initiative to refund the police.
Wow.
Because mind you, that's what he wants to do. So what he did was, someone on his staff said, these are the businesses that you can visit, and these businesses welcomed him in because, hey, he's the governor. And they welcomed him in, shook hands, took photos, and he flipped the script. And so he said, these are the businesses that support my initiative to refund the police. And the fact that he went to Urban Reed's bookstore, a bookstore, if you don't know about Urban Reed's is a bookstore that specializes in prison literature. Their bookstore caters to making sure that prisoners who write books are able to have their books read by the people. And so the fact that he went there for a photo op, just to flip the script, and then to say, these are the people that support my initiative to refund a police department that, quite frankly, was never even defunded in the first place. That's how absurd it is. It's absurd not even just based on the policy. It's absurd on the name itself. If you come into my bookstore and want a refund for a book that you didn't even purchase, I will look at you like you're crazy. What are we refunding? So I say all that to say that while he was wrong in what he did, if you know the kind of person he is, if you know the policies that he stands for, you can then take action. You can't take action on causes and issues that you don't know about. So I just wanted to, again, just stress the importance of just getting educated and just knowing why you're fighting, and staying hip and staying keen to some of the issues that affect us, because they use your ignorance and your lack of knowledge and awareness to then use you for their agenda. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mike Jack.
And I want to say, my brother, that is so true. You got to watch out for these little fake photo ops, because you never know what somebody's coming quickly to say and flip the script, slam on you. That's why you got to be careful who you let stay in there and take your photo with. Like, that is disgusting. And speaking of books, I want to share my gifts, girl. I love gifts. So my sister, last night when I stopped over our house to get a slice of bakery cake, and when I tell y'all this cake, I think she said it's Yummies and Furry Hall. Oh my goodness, like that icing was like, I tore it up. I feel so embarrassed, like I ate it within like 2.5 seconds, like that big old, like she gave me enough of cake, literally I could have took some for lunch. But how I was feeling yesterday, I finished it off. I enjoyed it, and that's how I enjoyed it. Took my shower, put my nightcap on, and I had a great night. But I just wanted to share some of my gifts with y'all real quick. Got me this book. I can't wait to read this. Got me this. And y'all know the Baltimore Magazine this week features our sister Kelly in here. I can't wait to read it. If you haven't went out yet, make sure you get a copy, because our sister Kelly is in here, y'all. So y'all gotta get a copy. I got mine and I ain't even had to pay for it. I'm so excited. So yeah, and Adina wrapped this stuff so pretty. You ever see somebody wrap a gift so nice you don't even want to open it? My gifts look horrible the way I wrapped them, so, but I didn't even want to unwrap it. But I'm a big kid, so yeah. I just wanted to share that with you. So before we go online, I just wanna check in again with anybody on our panel right now to ask them, do you guys want to make any comments or questions before we go to Marcellus to see what is new on, the internet right now? Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Alrighty, so we're gonna go on to Marcellus. Marcellus, do you have any comments, questions on YouTube, Facebook?
Yes. We have a comment on YouTube. We have a couple comments on YouTube. Smiley says, "Love and light to you, Angela." Benjamin says, "Rest in peace, Bell Hooks." Smiley says, "Love and light to you, Nicole." And on Facebook, we have Bill who says, "Sifu, I'm glad you figured out simple things that bring you joy. Of course, at the same time, we need to continue being as steadfast as possible in the struggle for a much better world." Sifu says, "Love to you, Sister Angela and Sister Nicole." And Bill says, "That's right, Tawanda and Brian. Black folks are treated inhumanely in the media." And Sifu says, "Yes, Tawanda, hashtag self-care." Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
All right, so I want to check in with our sister Nicole to see if there's any song she's feeling in our heart, because after we go through this piece of our segment, we're going to actually go into showing homage to, both our sadness, the victims of police brutality and the victims of community violence. So, Nicole, do you have a nice song that you want to leave in our spirit that you can bless us with? Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check. Sister Queen, this is my favorite song that I wrote that I basically sing all the time, so that's what I'm into with, right?
All right. Yes. Count to 6. Yes. I know the words now. I'm a lip sync with you.
You gonna lip sync with me?
Yeah, no, yes. Yes. He can have me sing to put me up there.
Okay. He blessed me through all the pain, and he blessed me through all the rain. When Jesus heard my story, he blessed me. I knew that he would. He blessed me. He understood. He blessed me. I knew that he would. So I'm asking, please hold my hand and bless me, and every man take my hand and walk me through, 'cause I need you. I'm feeling so blue, but he blessed me with all this good. He blessed me. He understood. So Jesus, please hold my hand and bless me, and every man take my hand and walk me through, 'cause he blessed me, and I knew he would. My check. Amen. Amen.
Yes. Girl, you really signed it. I think that was an extra Christmas treat for me. Thank you. Yes.
Always a pleasure, Queen. Always a pleasure.
Yes, like, and you just like reminded me of our beautiful heavenly queen, Paula Muhammad, Genesis Days, who had that fire, that beautiful voice. Oh my God, like, God knew not to give me a voice like that. Just like my sister Anthony said, I don't have a voice, but let one of my songs come on. I'm be cracking up, I'm telling you.
Yes, I couldn't hold a candle to Paula. That was my baby.
Yes, like, oh my goodness. So, I want to check in real quick with our brother Seafood to see if you want to share anything, and then I'm gonna check one last time in with Marcellus before we go on to this part of the segment that I don't like. But mic check.
Mike, check.
My check.
Mic check.
Beautiful song, Sister Nicole. I have nothing else to say. Mic check.
Mike, check.
Mic check.
My check and thank you.
So Marcellus, do we have any final comments or questions?
Yes, Bill says, thanks, Nicole, for your singing. And Smiley says, beware of fake photo ops. Mic check.
Mike, check.
Mic check.
My check.
Mic check. So, before we go on to our sad list, please keep in mind, guys, that unfortunately, you don't wake up wanting nobody in your family to be on the list. Like, literally, it's heartbreaking. Like, that's not an act of God. That's not like, and it's even hard when it is an act of God. Let's be clear, because when it was an act of God, when my grandmother passed away, it was hard as hell for me and my family. When it was an act of God, literally when my uncle passed away through sickness, that he got through the stress of all this unanswered accountability and things like that. And I know it was hard for anything, but when someone is murdered, that news, when I said knocks you off your feet, you wouldn't give a damn if your loved one was on a police brutality, that's on a community violence. All you want is accountability. And then your mind be so, oh my God, in a fog. You want street justice. You want somebody to pay for what they did. I'm being honest and I'm being real. You want somebody to pay for what they did. Like, it is unreal. That type of pain literally touched your faith. You could be a Christian woman, go to church every single day, know every verse in the Bible, and at that moment when your loved one is murdered, God forbid, it makes you question God. It makes you question your own sanity, your own self. So I said all this to say, before our brother Brian read the sadness of victims that is presented for this week, I want you guys, please, just to take 1 minute just to show respect. Pray if you pray. If you can think of a way that we can help out and try to wrap our minds around holding people accountable, holding the system accountable that let certain neighborhoods be safe and certain neighborhoods be unsafe. Certain people get recognition when they're murdered and certain people don't. Regardless if somebody's family member makes the news at all, once we hear the news, our loved one then becomes top priority, top everything. You know, it's just sad. And like my sister Dr. Ishtan says, every case matters, whether it's police brutality, homicide, it is all connected to the highway of hell. So please, guys, we're going to take 1 minute. If you pray, pray. If you think, this is horrible, because right now all we're doing is seeing what the news, the media, they get a thrill, they get off on. Oh, well, we reached some, and they don't even have no kids. You notice the way they talk about people being murdered right here in our city, and unfortunately, guys, let me tell you something, this is not a Baltimore thing. Unfortunately, it's a worldwide thing. Right now in Philly, right now in Philadelphia, there are over 550 homicides, y'all. This is disgusting. And all the media wants to do is just read off the name. No, we're more than hashtags. We're more than body bags. We're more than being 6 feet in the dirt than pictures and buttons on a t-shirt. Our lives matter. It may not matter to the ones that are killing us and going and being with their family and resting at night after you murder an elderly woman in a church, a baby at a rec hall, or any of these names we hear tonight. Our lives matter. So let's take 1 minute, please. Please, let's just take 1 minute. And we're going to start now. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Thank you so much, Brother Brian. The floor is all yours. Mic check.
Mic check.
So, this week in Baltimore, in the struggle against violence and racism and inequality, lives were lost. And I ask you to just echo those names back to me so that we can uplift them and in some small way uphold their families and their friends, their co-workers and all their other loved ones. Kara LeBang, 41.
Carol Lang, 41.
Jake Rogers, 31.
Jake Rogers, 31.
Desmond Carr, 33.
Desmond Carr, 33.
Kevin Finley, 36.
Kevin Finley, 36.
Ronald Barksdale, 26.
Ronald Barksdale, 26.
William Adams, 33.
William Adams, 33.
Rashad Denby, 31.
Rashad Denby, 31.
Lorenzo King, 26.
Lorenzo King, 26.
Thank you.
Thank you. And me as a Christian woman, I truly will be praying for these families. And I just want to say, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry if anybody out there that is listening to me right now, you have my deepest, heartfelt condolences. My heart goes out to you. My heart goes out to your family. And you shouldn't be going through this type of pain. And if you can, please, as soon as you can, seek self-help, self-care, counseling, because that's the only thing that brought me through, literally. I didn't know what to do or anything. Even though I know I fight police brutality, but I fight for all of it, but just police brutality or murder, homicide, because it's a highway of hell. Again, my deepest condolences. So now, before Uncle Bill, whoever has the police brutality list, I want them to take another minute, guys. Pray if you pray. If you can think of ways, because it's just sad that literally, with heartbreaking as this community violence list is, right? The crazy part is, everybody loved one deserves to go home at the end of the day. The same way an officer gets to go home and have the joy and luxury of walking through the door and their loved ones are greeting them, from having a hard day of work. Our family members deserve to have our loved ones come back home at that end of the day as well to greet us, or for us to greet them. So again, let's just take 1 minute of silence, please. Starting now. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Thank you so much. Mic check.
Mike check. So I have the list this evening of those who've recently been killed by police around the United States, and our support and warm feelings go out to all their families in this time of tragedy. We're covering tonight a week and a half, going from December the 2nd to December the 12th, 11 days, and the Washington Post, where we find this information, reported 18 people being killed by the police. Now, we know that over the last 5 or 10 years, fairly consistently, the police kill about 1,100 people a year, which equals about 3 a day, which equals about 21 stolen lives each week. So when the Washington Post says 18 over a week and a half, actually it's probably more like 30, and we're not hearing about everyone, but we do want to uphold the names of those about whom we do know. So the first person was killed by police on December the 2nd. It was in Buffalo Grove, Illinois. He was 25, and his name, if you could repeat uphold his name after I say it, is Brian Howard.
Brian Howard.
Brian Howard.
On the following day, on December 3rd, in Melbourne, Florida, an 18-year-old who they say was armed with scissors, El Haji Sow.
Al-Haji Sow.
On December the 6th, in Blue Springs, Missouri, 48 years old, Douglas Halfin.
Douglas Halfin.
On December the 7th, in Riverview, Florida, and this victim was 88 years old, killed by police, Ronald Eric.
Ronald Eric.
In Elizabethtown, Kentucky, on December the 7th, a man was killed by police. He has not yet been identified. Ashe.
Ashe.
In Colorado Springs, on December the 8th, another man was killed by police. Once again, he has not yet been identified. Ashe. In Columbus, Ohio, on December the 8th, a person, and they don't even say if it's a man or a woman, was killed by police. Ashe. This evening, for some reason, many of the stolen lives have not been identified by the Washington Post as of this time. This is true for the next person as well. He was killed by police in Stockton, California, on December the 8th.
Ashe.
Once again on December the 8th, this time in Hermitage, Missouri, 42-year-old woman, not yet identified. Ashe. The next person on December the 9th in Henry County, Georgia, a man not yet identified by the Washington Post. Ashe. In Colorado Springs, Colorado, on the following day, December the 10th, a man was killed by police. We don't know his age, and again, he's not yet identified. Ashe. On December the 10th, in Cumberland County, Tennessee, 55 years old, killed by police, David Talbert. On December the 10th, in Pine River, Wisconsin, a man killed by police. We don't know his age, not yet identified. Ashe. On December the 11th, in Elizabethtown, Kentucky, again, it's a man, but we don't know his age, not yet identified. Ashe. On December the 11th, in Frankfort, Kentucky, 64 years old, killed by police, Robert Angle. On December the 12th, in Cleveland, Ohio, 39 years old, killed by police, Patrick Horton. Killed by police in Ferguson, Missouri. I don't think that's the same Ferguson where Mike Brown was killed, but no, Missouri couldn't be. This man has not yet been identified. Ashe. And the last person whose life was stolen by police that we'll uphold this evening was killed on December the 12th in Jennings, Missouri, 26 years old, George Hollins. And that concludes this terrible list of police killings in the recent period. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
So again, my heart goes out to anybody, family that was on or off that list that has been listed pretty much as a John Doe or Jane Doe. It is disgusting. My heart goes out, and again, I will urge that you do the same thing. Please take care of yourself. Please know that it's something that you didn't ask for, but know that God will see you through. I know you might don't understand or even know how or even care right now, but please seek self-help. If you can, please get your whole entire family counseling, because guess what? When tragedies like this happen, regardless of which list your loved one was on, families suffer in different times, different seasons and reasons. You may have all the adults, going forward first, and then literally the kids years later are coming up with suffering from post-traumatic stress, suffering from suffering in silence. You're thinking, okay, I've been there, what's going on? And the whole time they're missing their loved ones at all. You don't know that when someone gets murdered, it's a whole family that's murdered. It don't just stop at, it's families. Their lives are changed forever. Even the victim's family and even the suspect's family. Everybody's lives are tore up at that moment, like literally, because now you're just wanting your loved one, to be back. And it was a tragedy that I saw when I saw a man literally murder his, wife, his girlfriend, and himself. That is a heartbreaking story. And my heart goes out. There's 3 families' lives that are changed forever. And again, we're praying. Thank you, Seifu, tonight. Thank you, my warrior queen, Angela. Thank you, my warrior queen, Nicole. Thank you, our brother Ben, Brian, Uncle Bill. Just thank everybody from the West Coalition. Thank you for tuning in, and just bringing it. We love you guys. And the same way we brought you in with a video, we're going to take you out with a video called The Ghost of Tyrone. And that's the video that I was telling you about that my cousin made. We played numerous times, but in case it's your first time seeing it, you will see different segments where you will see the politicians, you'll see us marching, you'll see, Anthony Anderson's mom is in that video. So yeah, again, thank you guys. Live to love to live. I love you all, and I want to tell my best friend, my childhood, my day one from my A1 from day one, my friend Kira Davis. It's her birthday today, as well as my uncle. I love her. It's like a happy, sad day type of thing, because I'm so happy for my queen. We were in kindergarten together. That's my baby. So happy birthday, beautiful. Love you. Thank you guys. Live to love to live. Mic check.
Mic check. And happy birthday.
Thank you.
Mic check.